Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad to take part in this debate on the Ministry of Justice, especially with the Minister present. I can see why His Excellency chose the Honourable Ali Sabri to be the Minister of Justice when he took the rather difficult task of justifying the 20th Amendment and the way he did. In fact, after his speech, I met him in the lobby. I told him that he was almost convincing, because that is how convincing or forceful his arguments were. I wish to basically bring up three issues, Honourable Speaker. The first one is with regards to the ICCPR Act, that is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights Act. As you know, Honourable Minister, the ICCPR, the convention, when it was adopted, the background behind the ICCPR was actually to maintain global peace. We were soon after World War II, and there was a need by the UN to maintain global peace. And global peace meant not only should there be steps taken by the UN to make sure peace is maintained between states, but they also felt that within a state, there has to be regulations, various norms met to ensure that peace is maintained even within countries. So it is on that basis, Honourable Minister, the ICCPR was adopted. Sri Lanka ratified the ICCPR in 1980, but I think eventually only somewhere in 2007 that the ICCPR Act, which purported to bring into domestic law the ICCPR itself, was passed. Now, there are serious shortcomings with regards to the ICCPR Act. If you look at the ICCPR and the Act, what you will see is that there is a massive gap. Although the ICCPR Act purports to make law, the ICCPR itself, it falls far short. A good example is in the ICCPR, Article 1 talks of people's right to self-determination. That has been explicitly omitted. I think when the matter was taken up before the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court very unfortunately gave quite a, to me, an astounding answer. The right to self-determination is a collective right. And what that right means is that all peoples have the right to self-determination. And in Sri Lanka, there are several peoples. You can't deny that. So you can't simply say that the entire population of Sri Lanka is one, there is no differences, that there are no several peoples, that there is no plurality, and that the whole of the population must be taken together. But unfortunately, that is what the Supreme Court said. And said, therefore, sovereignty vests in the people, and since sovereignty vests in the people, there is no need. And in fact, there cannot be separate sovereignties, and therefore, there cannot be distinct self-determinations to various segments of Sri Lanka's society. So, the whole purpose of the ICCPR was lost in the very first instance where Article 1 of the ICCPR was done away with. So what we have essentially is majoritarianism. We have majoritarianism. It is the will of 75% of the population that effectively works through the ICCPR Act that we have today. But it's not only that. That is not the only shortcoming. If you go through the Act, what you will find is that several parts of the ICCPR laws, justiciable laws, have been completely omitted. And if I may just quickly list them, the right to be recognized as a person before the law is recognized. Entitlement of alleged offenders to legal assistance is recognized by the ICCPR Act. Interpreter and safeguard against self-incrimination is recognized. Some aspects of the rights of the child is recognized. The right to access to state benefits is recognized. But even though they are recognized, Honorable Minister, you will admit that they are not recognized in the context in which the actual covenant spoke of these rights. And therefore there is a massive gap even in the matters that have been included. The rights that have been omitted are things like the right to life, the freedom from negative discrimination on the basis of national or social origin, freedom from the forced or compulsory labor, the security and liberty of persons deprived of liberty, the right to compensation for unlawful arrest and detention, rights of minorities, including in respect of religion, language and culture, and the right to privacy. These are completely omitted. These are completely omitted. So the result, Honourable Speaker, I'm sure the Honourable Minister will agree, is that what you have in the form of the ICCPR Act is in fact the complete opposite to the ICCPR itself. And why I'm bringing this up is that the ICCPR Act is being used in the Northeast by the police, to arrest people simply because they are asserting their own identity, and that is not fair. And as you know, the ICCPR Act is a sophisticated form of the PTA. The moment you arrest under the Act, there is no bail. You have to go to the High Court and you have to show exceptional circumstances. So the Honourable Minister, you must intervene, because injustice is being done through an act that is purported to in fact hold the rights, recognize the rights and protect the rights of minorities and the non-majorities. The second matter that I want to raise, and I'm glad the Honourable Foreign Minister is here, since I think the question of accountability has come under his ministry. Obviously, the government is not interested in internalizing accountability, and so they have given it to the Foreign Ministry. I think the previous government also was guilty of that offence. The previous government also was...
Honourable Member, you have only 2 minutes more.
I'll try and complete. Today is the International Day of Commemoration and Dignity of the Victims of the Crime of Genocide and the Prevention of this crime. The Honourable Minister knows that, whether you agree with it or not, the Tamil victims say that genocide has been committed. Genocide has been committed. Sri Lanka's position internationally through the Foreign Ministry in the UN Human Rights Council, Honourable Speaker, is that they are not prepared. Sri Lanka is not prepared to have an international investigation, that it is an entirely domestic matter. But is the crime of genocide recognized in Sri Lanka? Are the crimes in the Rome Statute recognized? They are not. So international humanitarian law, even though the Honourable Foreign Minister goes abroad and says that we will investigate and we will hold everyone to account, is a humbug. It's a joke. It's purely a foreign ministry related exercise to somehow convince the international community that you're on board, that you will try and be responsible, but that's it. The previous government was also guilty of that same approach, where the foreign ministry was kept in charge of the question of accountability. Finally, I wish to state to the Honourable Ali Sabri, you know, previous members from the STB spoke in terms of the MTV media institution being unfairly taken before court, and in fact accused you, saying that there was government involvement because one of your juniors were appearing in the case for George Stewart's health. The fact is, Honourable Minister, these are high-profile cases. These are high-profile cases, and George Stewart's health, we all know, the Derana institutions are also connected. And we all know how close the Derana institution is to this government. So you can't run away from the fact. You can't run away from the fact that there is a strong perception, that this is a deliberate act against the MTV, particularly on the issue of COVID, because they were exposing various matters. I'm winding up, sir.
Yeah.
And in that backdrop, when a junior of yourself, Honorable Ali Sabri, appears, you are in an unenvious position. You are in an unenvious position because you hold such a high profile position, especially on justice. Your juniors must unfortunately make difficult choices because they must not embarrass you. They must not embarrass you. This is my opinion. You can deny it. But there is a code of conduct where you must stand well above. And even though you might deny it, you can. Obviously you can. But the proximity of this case where the MTV and George Stewart's health are at each other in courts gives the impression that there is very
Honourable Member, you have taken 2 minutes more.
So I would urge you to think about these things. These are important things because when we talk in terms of the Ministry of Justice, we have had so many members say that justice must not only be done but also must be seen to be done.
Right. Thank you.
You can answer in your own time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Who is that? Next.